Hey guys, I know this is I want to talk about right now because I've been thinking about this lately. I want to talk about Botham, Jean. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. I just want to talk about this because recently, I've been reading and just looking at different posts and articles on the internet, whether that be Instagram, Facebook, um, and I've been looking. I watched that part of his funeral service. It's on YouTube if you wanna go and watch that. I'll try and see if I can put a link in the description below if you wanna watch part of that um, funeral service. You know, and I've been keeping up with the details of this story, and I just wanted to talk about some of them. Um, for those of you who don't know, or who don't know the full story of it, a police officer by the name of Amber Geiger um, was coming home from a shift, working as a police officer um, in Dallas, Texas, and she, Amber Geiger and Botham both live in the same apartment building, but on different floors. And on this particular day, she put that in quotations. She accidentally walked into the wrong apartment building, where she claimed that the door was ajar, which made her think that someone had broken into her apartment, which was not her apartment. It was Botham's apartment. She said that when she opened up the door, she gave verbal commands for, the person inside the house, which was Botham, to put their hands up. But she said she couldn't see anything because it was dark, so she just saw a silhouette. And when she gave these verbal commands and no one responded to her, that's when she shot two shots. And I believe that one of the shots did hit him. I don't know exactly where on his body it did, but he did die. He did pass away. And I've been keeping up with this story because, again, there's it's story after story of this white police officer killing an unarmed black man. And people have been, with prior situations like this, people have been, you know, trying to draw the argument of, well, what could Michael Brown have been doing that would have caused this police officer to shoot and kill him, but you know, we can contradict those arguments in those cases as well. But when it comes to both of Jean's case, you just can't make arguments like that. Here's a black unarmed man in his apartment. A black unarmed man in his own apartment, in his home. And you have a white police officer mistaking his apartment for her apartment. First of all, there's a red mat in front of his door that she doesn't have in front of hers. So, first of all, that should be a sign number one. I understand her getting off the wrong floor. That could be a mistake that everyone makes, right? But when you go to an apartment, do you not look? Because it's an apartment building. All the doors are the same. But when you look down and see a red mat, and you know that you don't have that in your head, in front of your apartment building, I think that should send some clues off that, let me look around to make sure this is my building. This is my floor, and then this is my apartment building. I'm sure there's numbers or letters that indicate which door is yours on the building floor. So that should have sent off a clue right there. But when you have an unarmed man in his own home get shot at because a police officer thought that he was an intruder, that's confusing to me. And then you have people trying to vilify him because after his funeral, sorry, I keep looking over here. After his funeral, I think they got a search warrant to search his apartment. A search warrant to search a dead man's apartment. That right there is a tactic that's been used on African Americans, basically throughout. You're trying to pin all of this on him, on a dead man who was shot in his own home by a police officer that had no business being in his apartment in the first place. You know, and if the tables were turned around, if he were to shoot her as an intruder, because she was intruding into his apartment, so if he would have had a gun and shot her, he would have been the one arrested, right? So it's a lose-lose situation for both of them. For both of them, and you know, I don't know. I don't know what to think of this, because they try to they arrested her on manslaughter charges, but I mean, if you think about it, is it manslaughter or is it murder? Like, seriously, it's the same thing over and over and over again, and it's just like, when are we going to get a break? When are we as Black Americans, or as Americans, people of color, are going to get a break? Can we just have this conviction, please? The evidence is there. And then she said that the door was ajar, meaning that the door was slightly open, right? But if you look at the videos online, people have been not sending, but people have been releasing videos on the internet. You can go on Facebook. I'm sure you can go on YouTube and find a video of it. I saw this one woman. If I find her name, if I find her Facebook page, I'll post it in the link below. But just one woman, she wanted to see, you know, how these apartment doors worked, or whether Amber Geiger's story to the door being ajar was true or not. So, you know, she went to the apartment building. She found this gentleman who was able to, who lives there, I'm guessing, because he had a key, and he wanted to show. And there's also a white woman who did a video like that too, where she opened up the door. She said, this is how the key works. This is how the door works. She opened it up. She went inside her apartment, and she was like, let's see if this door stays ajar. Soon as she let go of the handle of the door, it shut. So in my mind, how can a door be ajar, number one? And the other thing that should be investigated is the neighbor or neighbors, I don't know if it was one person or multiple people, heard Amber Geiger banging on his door saying, let me in. So, I mean, there's a lot of details here that need to be looked into and investigated thoroughly, because there needs to be a conviction in this case. And, you know, and you want to talk about kneeling. You know, this is, I mean, come on. This is hashtag why we kneel. And since we're on that topic of kneeling, really quickly, I know this is a rant, you know, this is going to be uncut. Seriously, I'm not going to edit any of this. So if you want to talk about kneeling has nothing to do with the flag, with the military, with soldiers, you know, with people, with veterans, people who make it with that seem like that. What the goal is to disrespect veterans are the people who are trying to detach themselves from the actual meaning of it, from having to have that conversation, really, from having that conversation of what kneeling is really about, which is the killing of Black Americans in this country, police brutality, injustice in this country, really. And so when you have these players and people in general who kneel, especially NFL players, because the reason why NFL players are kneeling during the national anthem on the platform that they have, which is televised, which is why it is a platform, because millions of people watch. The reason why they're kneeling during the national anthem is not to disrespect the national anthem, but it's a moment on their platform in which they have people's attention. So when they tell you the reason why I'm kneeling today is because to bring attention and awareness and conversation to police brutality in this country. So I'm not kneeling in disrespect to the soldiers, because number one, the soldiers are out there fighting and risking their lives for me to even be able to protest. So when you say that I'm being disrespectful because I'm protesting my constitutional right to do so, then I'm not the one that's being unpatriotic. You are, because in a way you're because in a way I feel like if you're calling me unpatriotic for exercising my constitutional right to protest, you're being unpatriotic for not respecting my right to do so, if that makes any sense. So when I knew things like Botham Jean is the reason why I knew. Is that we're not getting any justice, and these police officers aren't being held accountable for their actions. You know, we shouldn't hold these police officers on a pedestal. You know, I know that they're out there risking their lives, they're putting their lives in front for us to keep the community safe. But I mean, it's hard to trust them. It's hard to, and I know people go and say, you know, there's good officers, there's good officers. Of course, there's good officers, but I don't trust the good officers either, because where are they when their constituents are out here doing what they're doing and they're not saying anything? They're keeping their mouth shut. You need, if you're a good officer and you wanna be seen as a good officer, I need you to speak up and speak out against them, because they're looking everybody look bad. Seriously. And when they're not being held accountable for the things that they're doing, shooting unarmed people, shooting unarmed Black Americans, then it's just like, well, dang. Seriously. So you can't tell me that racism still doesn't exist. You can't tell me that the justice system is fair and that and there's nothing wrong with the justice system, because everyone who's looking into these cases, and anyone who studies the justice system and the system period, knows that there's something wrong. There's something seriously wrong with the justice system, and there's something seriously wrong with whoever is coming up with these convictions of was coming up with these plea deals of not guilty to these, whether it be Trayvon Martin's case, Michael Brown's case, Botham Jean's case, which I'm hoping that she spends jail time in jail, spends time in jail, because it don't make no type of sense. That's just the way I feel on this topic. You know, let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts on this issue is, or what your thought on any issue is, or any other issue you would like for me to discuss, or if I don't know anything, any of the issues that you guys are writing down below, I'll look into it and share my thoughts on it too. I'm gonna just start doing this as a little series, you know. Thoughts with Jade. How about we call it that? Thoughts with Jade, episode 1, kneeling during the national anthem, Botham Jean.